wife, Sean Justice. Jack, they were waiting for your call. We're assuming they knew the timing of the whole deal, just in case that phone rang.
But the video.
Timed perfectly. This guy is he's a real pro.
I'm super lucky to be a part of Coffin and Coffin 2, the Coffin franchise. One of the things that I'm so impressed with Kipp Tribble and the Coffin franchise is that they've told their stories with this psychological thrill that is shot through with intelligence and surprise.
We built the film around two people trapped in a box, but we didn't want to be in the box the whole time. We had Patrick Barnitt, who played Jack Sams, as the husband of Sonny, trying to track them down, and then Trick, the villain who was keeping them in the box, going around town with him throughout the evening, and then the two cops following them. We never intended to do a sequel at all, and it came about through a couple conversations.
You know, we just talk about, hey, we gotta do it with Coffin too. Like, there's so many people asking for it. It's easy to do a story on a crazy guy in prison, and the boogeyman.
First Coffin we shot in 9 days, completely in and around Los Angeles. And Coffin 2, we got an extra day. We shot 10 days, and that was also in and around Los Angeles as well. These two films in particular were already greenlit before they were written. I had no story. I had some of the characters I wanted to bring back, but I had this film that I had done extensive outlining for, I'd done a treatment for several years back, even before I did the original Coffin, called Ragdolls. And it was 5 people in the woods that are paralyzed from the neck down, and they all have to try to figure out a connection of why they are there. And there is a villain who continues to come and torture them throughout the course of the film, and then there's an FBI agent trying to find out where these people are and connecting the dots. So I took that story, threw it into the Coffin universe, if you will, and that's how Coffin 2 was born.
Yeah, Jack and I used to work together. He was a normal, nice guy, really professional, always pleasant.
If you've seen the first one, there's a cliffhanger there. There's a couple of them, actually. And so we show and tell what has happened to those characters, and then we bring in a whole mess of new characters in.
Immediately I fell in love with the script because, you see a lot of these kidnapping movies where it's like maybe 1 or 2 girls, or there's a reason for a kidnapping and you know right away what the reason is. What I like about this movie is that you don't really know what the Death Stalker's motive is.
The great thing about the second one is that it can stand on its own. So basically, you don't have to, a lot of people that saw the first one are gonna wanna see the second one. And because there's a lot of plot points that are weaved through the second one that link up to the first.
Well, Detective Epperson seems to be holding up, considering.
He and we haven't talked in 2, maybe 3 years. I needed something to go on. The film has always been categorized as a horror, but at its heart, it's a thriller with horror elements. The horror from this doesn't come from gore. There's not a lot of violence. It's the primal fears of that containment, that being trapped, and also the ticking clock element.
Coffin 2 takes the original concept, but I think to another level, and it's very complicated. It's intricate with so many players.
There was the evening with Jack Sams. That one came back to bite you in the ass a little though, didn't it? But yet here you sit, and Jack Sams sits in a cell doing time.
The first one as well, despite having a lot of characters, it is very ensemble. The story is split up into 3 sections, and it's driven by ensemble cast. The same thing, I wanted the same feel here. While there are a lot of characters in the film, they may only get, one specific character may only get 5 minutes or 10 minutes of screen time.
We're a low-budget film. It's not going to be driven by special effects. It's not going to be driven by action. It's going to be by the acting.
We needed the team players and the people who could really pull it off, and so that's how we approached it. We weren't going to audition them. We knew these people's work. We knew what they could do. Michelle Martin played Olivia. Fantastic work, came in, knocked it out of the park in The Cage. Dan Evans played Jonah, also one of the hostages. Derek Wingo coming in and playing his role again as Epperson. And Derek and I, we've produced many projects together. We've written projects together, co-directed a few times, and it just wasn't the greatest timing for him to be able to commit to co-directing or to producing this one as well. So Scott came on board to produce.
Some terrific actors that were nice enough to come over to Coffin 2, a Patrick Barnitt, a Sonny Doench.
When I got the call from Kipp about Coffin 2, I was just like, woo, so excited, could not wait. Rona Sam's evolution is that she is much less innocent and naive, and she's been through so much. So she's darker and more guarded, I think more fearful, and more dangerous because of that.
Jack Sams is a businessman. You know, he's all about the hustle. He's all about money. And I think he probably represents a lot of people in society. People that are in business, that make a lot of money, that are very, that are very ambitious, that do very well in their career, maybe to the detriment of their own personal life.
He's a tremendous talent. As far as it goes with our characters, I think that it shows in Coffin. At one time we had a really meaningful, loving relationship, because even though we were estranged, his character comes for Rona. I mean, wants to help her.
Hello, Rona.
Jack, how do you...
I got out.
And then in Coffin 2, you can tell that love has been choked completely out, and there is more of an interest in revenge, and you can see how dark the characters have gotten and how much each of them have been through.
And then we added a lot of new blood, like myself, and there was a few people that we cast.
So I play Nicole. She's a wannabe actress. She's also a waitress. She lives by herself. She lives in kind of a bad neighborhood, so she's very tough, and her whole life she's had to be very tough. And I think that actually helps her in this situation, in this kidnapping situation. But I also feel like Nicole has a lot of layers to her.
I played Bobby Church in this movie.
Until then, call this a working vacation. Should be an easy one. Missing persons is down an agent and backlogged up the ass. So go over there, take a few days, look into this. It's a missing cop, minus a finger.
What he brings to this thing is a different element. The first one, it was just basically a cops and robbers story. Now this one, you're getting involved FBI, which is federal. And also I think a big element for Agent Bobby Church in this film is that he brings Detective Scott from the first one, he brings him full circle and into the story. Because Detective Scott's been retired.
That bullshit doesn't work with me. Hands up.
No, I don't want to shoot you, but I will. Who are you?
They collaborate, and they're a team that comes together to solve this great mystery of these 5 hostages.
Johnny Alonso, I had in mind for Trick from the beginning. When you talk about the villain, a lot of them have automatically in mind a menacing character, a large character. Johnny's larger than life, but he's not a large person in build. He doesn't scream menace right away. But the character of Trick, I always described him to Johnny as a cross between a weasel or ferret and a coyote.
Yes, you see, I know that you two have been doing, for lack of better words, adult things. Yet one of you is married to a man with money.
Trick is our Joker. So in Coffin, initially he comes out and it was like, who is he? Where is he? What's that guy? So it's terrifying.
I wanted to mix it up, and it's been a few years, and I wanted Trick to, instead, his jobs, his crimes have grown, but instead of seeing him just continue on with these crimes, I wanted to finally catch up to him.
He's not gonna kill us. You're not gonna kill us, are you? No, we haven't seen your face. Your face is covered. You keep your face covered because you can get what you want. And you get away free. You know how I know this? Because this is my game! You're not a killer.
And it was interesting, I thought, to take a new villain and an old villain and then have their worlds collide like we did with Trick and the Deathstalker.
Robert is a teddy bear of a guy, gentle giant, but he's very physically imposing. And he's made a career off of playing menacing guys, and he excels at that. In the cage, he's a lion. You know, he's that pacing lion. He's got the menace, he's got the stare.
A physical presence. I mean, he's got a huge presence as an actor. He's got a sort of a gravity as an actor, but then you throw in his height and you throw in his kind of his power, his physical sort of stature, and it's scary as hell, man. I'm telling you what, I was watching the scenes in the warehouse, and there was a scene where he had a mask on.
You were saying?
Let me talk about Robert Meeks for a second, who played an essential role in this film. But I feel that our film is the first time this guy's gotten a real opportunity to do work as an actor.
And now we know each other.
First of all, the Deathstalker, I mean, he was extremely intimidating. He was able, I'm 5'11", and he was able to like flip me up over his shoulder and bring me in and put me down on the chair like nothing happened.
Then we had the dynamic between, Deathstalker being such a large, imposing, more about brute strength than he is about brains, and then Johnny being this, weaselly character that it does have the brains but not the strength. So the set pieces, which really are characters in the films, and we did call the coffin in the first film a character. The same thing with the cage in Coffin 2. It was originally written as a basement. It needed to be secluded, and then it just became just a regular room. It's been mentioned before, we were fortunate enough to come across a warehouse. The warehouse had a cage already built into it, and so then that room became a cage. And that cage is our coffin for this film.
Probably like over 80 degrees in that warehouse when we were shooting it, and I think that really helped. Having the actual physical conditions of us like really having to sit in the chair and having us, really feel like we're paralyzed, I think that was super, super intense for me. Can all of you just shut up while I concentrate? I had placed myself into that position, like mentally I tried to get myself there as much as possible, but it doesn't really hit you until you're actually sitting, in those chairs and you're feeling like you're kidnapped and you're in the environment, and everything was so specific. The set was so specific. Kipp was really good about kind of letting the scenes develop in their own way and letting the actors kind of, feel what felt right for them. And that really made it feel very real.
It's just, it doesn't have quite the same containment, but everyone is paralyzed from the neck down, so that they are essentially in their own body in a coffin.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello, please? Hello?
The coffin scene in this second film, it was a little more challenging because you only kind of covered, it was a three-sided coffin, which was brilliant for the camera because, the camera's right above you.
But that was a little less confining. Still confining enough. That's part of the element, that's one of the bad guys is the coffin. That's one of the elements of the scary creature.
And I kept burning my hand and I kept cursing. And Kipp at one point came up and said, dude, it's good, it looks great, but listen, could we please not curse? Because we only have a few shots. Trick. Anything like that, when you're acting, like any sort of physical reality that occurs is really helps you.
You flip this movie on, you grab yourself a bowl of popcorn, you grab your favorite drink, and you just sit down for an hour and a half and just be entertained.
By the time we were in the middle of making the second one, we're like, well, obviously we're gonna continue doing another one, and maybe closing the chapter on the Coffin franchise or possibly keep going.